Hey, as you're starting your day today, you got one of two choices. You can own it, or you can be weak. What are you going to do? By the way, it's time to get up. That's right. Be resilient. Be accountable to yourself. Tips for building a stronger mindset. Rich Ingram, the resilient raw warrior, joining us here today on the show, as well as our special guest celebrating many years of sobriety, William Ray, coming up here in the lab for some incredible conversation to help you guys start the day with the morning loop. Keith Bilous, my friend Jon Andersen, just sitting over there. He's got the funny red hat on today. We're going to talk about that. I can just see it coming up. My good friend Marty Fit, he's over there. And producer Flynn, just on the other side of the glass next to producer Jimmy. And hey, I'm rocking the houndstooth hat, the gray shirt. Looks like Johnny's rocking the red shirt. I'm sorry, the red hat, black glasses. Marty's got the less crunches, more crunches, the pink shirt on today. Let's bring the boys in. I'm just going to stop yapping away. Johnny, Marty, what's going on, boys? Yes.
What's happening, baby?
How are you? I'm excited about the show. We got a big show today. We got a couple guys sitting in the green room here. We're going to talk raw resilience. They bring some pedigree to the table. Rich Ingram and Will Ray. Will's been around before. Will's a big.
Who are those guys?
Who are those guys? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Who are these guys?
And I'm going to tell you something else too. It's not lost upon me. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this today, but it is not lost upon me that it is September 11th today. So to all those that this day holds a special or a memorable, obviously, or a difficult place in your heart, we're here to recognize that. But it is not lost upon me that we have Rich Ingram and Will Ray here today on September 11th, this meaningful day in world history, frankly. So excited to have those boys here in the lab. Johnny, what's going on with you, man? What's going on today with you? The loop, how was your workout yesterday, bud?
Oh, everything's good, man. You know, it's yesterday was a great day. It was one of those days it just went by so fast. I was like, holy Toledo. You know, it's like every time I looked up, I was like, man, where's the day going? That's the signal. That to me, that tells me that I'm really enjoying myself. Because when time goes by fast, then I'm in a good spot.
Oh, I just thought I was getting older because I find as we get older, Johnny, time goes much faster, man. You're like, holy shit, time's gone really fast.
Well, when you get older, that can work for you or against you. You can be one of those poor bastards stuck in a chair where all you got to do is find a new TV show to pass the time. Or you can decide that you're going to whoop the shit out of Father Time day by day and live a life that gets better as you get older. And
actively live life. So we're dropping nuggets for Marty here. Marty, dude, you got one of two choices, man, as you get older, because time's only going faster, man. I'm telling you.
So I'm soaking the game up, man. I'm soaking the game up.
Wait, so you know what I'm thinking, Johnny? The more Marty keeps hanging out with us, the more we make him younger. Because it's like, oh shit, I don't want to do that. I don't want to avoid that. So Marty, every single day we're like giving you all these tips just to keep that youth inside of you, brother.
I think y'all make me older.
Well, I was going to say, you know what I've really been noticing with Marty is which has been very impressed, and this is a huge compliment to you.
What's that?
Because at when I was your age, I wasn't really soaking up the information of the people that are older than me. Because now I realize if I get a chance to talk to someone who's 90, I want to heir their life experiences because that person has so much knowledge, and Marty is soaking it up. Marty's been, he's told us a few times that he's soaking up a lot of the stuff that he needs to get where he wants to go. So I think keep kicking ass, Marty.
Yeah. Sometimes Keith will ask me a question. And I'm like, I'm listening. I'm just trying to learn from everybody.
Yeah. So, yeah. He's soaking it up, man.
Yeah. I forgot I'm part of the show. So.
Yeah. Let's bring producer Flynn up here as well. Marty, how was your day yesterday, brother? Did you get those bullet holes fixed behind you yet? No, you haven't. I think we're gonna have to buy you a poster hanging on the wall behind you there to cover.
I got something to put there, but I gotta go to mom's house and get it.
There you go.
Yeah, there you
go. So I know we're not talking political events on the show here, but I have to have a little laughter. Watched the old debate last night on the car ride home from Carter's hockey game. Man, I just got to tell you guys, there's nothing like good old entertaining U.S. debate politics. Just raw conversation back and forth and just bullshit on the table, man. Makes me laugh, frankly. It makes me totally laugh. Did you guys get a chance to tune into it for a quick second?
No, I mean, it's crazy. Politics is one of those things, and this is what I say. I say, you can talk politics as much as you want, but I'm not. Because especially in America right now, the divide is so massive. I mean, it's almost like you can't safely have a conversation about this without somebody getting angry. And for me, if you want to get angry, number one, I'm not going to say what it takes to get you angry. Number two, if you're going to get angry, you're going to have to go over there. So the conversation about politics is kind of sure to put a bad vibe close by, and I'm not about that.
Yeah, and it's funny because I don't disagree with you. Marty and I had a laughter because we've always danced around the topic. The last time there was a debate, it was between the dead guy and the felon, and Marty and Keith created some good content around that conversation.
That was actually pretty entertaining.
That was really funny because we're not talking politics, but the last debate was between the guy who was half dead and the guy who was the felon. And yesterday's conversation, I'll just leave you with this. I had some humor when I saw that the old Swiftie signed off her with it was the old childless cat lady. So it's just going to be an entertaining number of weeks going ahead of us here. It's going to be an entertaining number of weeks going ahead of us here in the United States. But like I said, that's not part of our show. We're here to get you guys going, get you guys getting in a bed here, get you guys motivated, get you guys active, achieve your biggest, most audacious goals. And we got we're
a neutral show.
We are a neutral show. Yes, we are a neutral show here. Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. So hey, we got a piece of content this morning that I want to drop into the feed. That I want to chat about it. And Jimmy, I'm just going to pull it up here before we bring the boys in here in a few moments. But Marty sent us
real quick.
Yeah,
I lost my voice, so if I sound like I'm fading out, that's what it is. But
I did wonder.
What were you doing to lose your voice, brother?
I did wonder.
I just woke up and it was gone. I got pink eye too, so I think it's all related.
Mercy, yeah. So you got something. You got exposed to something.
Yeah, it's like all the kids in school, they got it. So somehow I got it. So
yeah. So I got to be honest. You sat down, I looked at you, and you opened your voice, and I thought,
yeah.
Is Marty?
I don't feel sick though. I feel 100%, but I just no voice. Yeah.
Let's bring producer Flynn on the stage here. Flinner, you notice Marty's, he's this dude, business athlete. The guy's ill and he's showing up for work today.
He's got shit eye. And he's here.
He's got shit eye.
No commitment. I don't know what is.
Hold on, I gotta go, Marty. Let me ask you a question.
Oh, here we go.
No. This is just so the guys that have a little bit more mental fortitude can step forward. Do you consider yourself sick right now?
I don't think I'm sick at all.
Exactly. Sick means you're throwing up and you're. If you got it coming out both ends, now you're sick. Anything in between, that's just a bump in the road. Am I right, brother?
Yeah, I trained this morning too. My clients, they didn't care.
Okay.
We need to help our viewers redefine what is sick. Sick means you got shit coming out literally both ends. At that point, call in sick. Shy of that, get up, get moving, let's go.
Well, you know what's good about this is that we just spent the day yesterday talking about men crying and men feelings and so forth. And this is really apropos because Marty's feeling under the weather, but the dude's got shit to do. So he's showing up. So yeah, he's sharing his feelings with us, gentlemen. He's sharing his feelings, but Marty's got a goal to achieve.
Getting shit done too.
He's getting shit done.
But him having pink eye doesn't make him feel emotional enough to not want to do his stuff. That's what we're talking about here.
That's exactly it.
If you want to listen, I'd say, Marty, if a person wants to find something to hide behind, they're going to find it.
Yes.
I'll say this. Another show probably would have canceled today.
Yeah.
If they had what I had.
Exactly. Another show would have canceled, but not Mornings in the Lab.
He's not going to be an Ocho. That's what it's come down to.
Fighting words right there.
What's up, Tesh Williams? Good to have you here in the lab here. And Ronaldo the Galt, I see you here as well. Is Muhammad Ali the best as a person? Well, I don't know. It's a question out of context. Do you think Muhammad Ali is a person? I don't know the guy. I've never met him. He's a pretty good boxer, though. But hey, we got a video that Marty dropped into the feed this morning for us to talk about. I'm going to throw up here on the stage. Jimmy, you ready to do that? We're going to throw a video up here, and then I think I'm going to respond to it differently than my whole team thinks.
Am I the video guy now?
Well, you're the video guy this morning, but
so am I the tech dad of the show? Am I the real tech dad?
Well, but I will say, brother, you spend a lot of time finding crazy videos to do reactions to. So I think video guy suits you pretty well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
So we're gonna plop a video on stage. We're gonna have a little reaction to it. We're trying some new segments here on the show with you guys, and I got a reaction to it that I don't think y'all are expecting. So we're gonna throw it on stage. Jimmy, you ready to rock and roll with this? We're gonna throw it on stage. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get into conversation on the video. Then we're gonna do the accountability check-in. Then we're gonna bring in Will and Rich to have a conversation about raw resilience and so forth. So, Jimmy, I'm throwing it on the vertical here. Boom.
I gotta do the extra
and
work.
I'm throwing it on
the
the
horizontal. I gotta show up when other guys aren't, and I've got to learn. I've got to continue to be open to learning. All you do is you focus on the starter, the second guy. You don't worry about what you're focused on. You came here to be the best. I want you at this program, and if you're going to be the best, you got to beat out the best. The guys ahead of me were getting more opportunity than I was. There was a certain amount of repetitions in practice. The starter would get 20, the backup would get 10, and I would get 2. And I'd go in and I'd say, well, how can I ever get better? All these guys get all the reps and I only get 2. And he said, just go in there and focus with the 2 that you got and make them as perfect as you possibly can. I did really well with those 2 because I brought enthusiasm, I brought some energy, and I had a little more confidence in myself. And it went from 2 reps to getting 4 reps because those 2 were pretty good. Then I had 4 good reps. Then I got 10 good reps. And before you knew it, through this new attitude, through this new shift that Greg had said to me, focus on what you can control. Focus on what you're getting, not what anyone else is getting. Whenever you get an opportunity, you take advantage of it. You treat it like it's the Super Bowl. You treat it like it's game day. Go out there and treat practice like no one else does. And I did that every single day.
And there we go. There's the Tom Brady clip this morning for the show here. Tina, Marty, Johnny, we got a clip from Tom here this morning to chat about, and I'm going to have some fun with you guys in this one. So here's my first reaction when I heard that.
I can't wait to hear the justification.
All right, so next on the agenda, all joking aside, Marty, thanks for sharing with us, brother. So here's my feeling on this. This is, I think it's great. I thought it's a great piece from Tom Brady, but I believe that the humans we're bringing on this show, like Marty Fit and Jon Andersen and Rich Ingram and Will Ray, have stories as good as, if not better, than what Tom just shared. So as I've shared with you guys, we're here building an airplane as we fly. I'm not sure if I'm leaning into that kind of content. I'm not sure if that really moves my needle. I don't know if that gets me out of bed. So I share that with you because I want to share with my team that as we build this together, I'm thinking that I don't know if that's something that's exciting to me, and I get why we got it. I get why we have it on here this morning, but I'm thinking that Johnny's got some killer motivational pieces that he can drop out of the sky to get me going, and yeah, the Tom Brady one it doesn't move the needle like the Shannon Sharp or the Ocho Cinco one did for me. So Flinner, what are your thoughts on my POV on this one?
Are you calling us out on air to keep us accountable? Is that what the fuck you're doing right now?
He's doing the Shannon Sharp.
Maybe no, I'm not actually. I'm having a teaching moment with my team that I think that we can do better with our content for our audience. I think that we can. So I think this is good. No question about it. I think we can make it great. And then I think we can make it even better than great. So we draw a line. So we draw a line in the sand and we keep getting better. We could have chose to do this one of two things. I guess we could have chose not to run it. And I could say, nah, I don't like this. I'm being a jerk about it. I was like, no, let's run it. Let's have a conversation about it. And let me explain why it doesn't move my needle. That's just being my thought process around it. And Joel Adams, he's being resilient. Yes, I'm being resilient with the content. But yeah, I think we can do better. There's my thoughts on it.
I'll drop. Go ahead, John.
Here's the thing, is that, I mean, granted, there's if you break it down, there's motivational stuff for everyone, and they're tougher, they're challenged, the more motivation the story is. But here's what I love about that, is that you're looking at a guy like Tom Brady, who, you know, we know that he started where he had to work for everything, which is great. That's a great, you know, it's a great story, if you will. But what I like about this is he's telling this, he's basically giving the speech or giving advice from the top of the mountain where he's achieved more than anyone else. And he's keeping his pieces of advice are simple and they're actionable. And so for people that we say, look, focus on what you can control. Like one of my lifestyle tips is you can't control what happens to you, but you control how you react to what happens to you. He's saying, you know, focus on those 2 reps, focus on your controllables. And that piece of advice, if it literally works for everyone. And that's what I love. It works for a guy like Tom. It'll work for a guy like anybody listening. So the thing that I like about that is it shows you how powerful those simple, actionable pieces of advice that we talk about on the show every day really are.
Love that, Johnny. Marty, thoughts, buddy?
Well, since I chose the video, I'll go into what made me choose that one.
I love it.
So first, you know, everyone can relate to Tom, not relate to Tom Brady, but everybody knows who Tom Brady is. A lot of people don't know his backstory. A lot of people don't know how he overcame adversity. You know, I saw a tweet a couple weeks ago, basically criticizing Tom, saying he's athletically gifted or something crazy like that.
He's got 3 left feet, man.
Exactly, which is insane. So a lot of people aren't aware. So I wanted to bring that in so he could share some of, you know, his experience. And then myself personally, you know, if you ask me what I learned from college from one of my shitty coaches, can I say that? Yeah. Oops, I said it already. I would say, you know, always be ready for an opportunity even when you don't see the opportunity. So, you know, that's kind of what Tom was basically saying in the video. So kind of where I was going with it.
To demonstrate what you're saying, brother, didn't he run like a 5.40 in the combine?
Exactly.
Like he was slower than some of the 300-pound linemen. That's how off the Richter scale he was in terms of his athletic skills.
And he was drafted 199, you know, and became the greatest to ever play football. So that's where my thinking was. So
I love this. Christina, well done on repositioning the conversation this morning, because this is an awesome conversation with some great learning. Because I want to come back to you guys. We're gonna break for the accountability check-in. We're gonna bring in Rich and Will, and we're gonna keep this conversation going on this particular topic because there's a great learning here. Many times in business, nation, when you're a business leader working with your team, we often have to agree to disagree. That is a massive mistake. You need to agree and commit. We're going to talk about that after the accountability check-in. And this example will face that, because I could have agreed to disagree. We all go sideways and nobody's happy. Or else you agree to commit and you get behind your team and you rock and roll and you achieve goals. We're going to come back to that in a quick second. So let's do the accountability check-in and come back and bring in Rich and Will and keep dissecting this Tom Brady clip. It's Marty, great clip, man, because we got some great conversation about it. And Flinner, great suggestion on this way.
Hey, if you think it's shitty, you could tell me. I mean, you hurt my feelings. Okay.
No, it's actually not about. It's actually not about that. It's actually about what we're talking about right now, which I think is great. It's really great. This is awesome. Hang tight, guys. Accountability check-in's coming up right now. And we're gonna come back with Rich and Will. All right, I like that. Joel Adams. Appreciate the comments. What's up? Good time. Good to see you there in the feed. Just got back from a walk. Thanks, you guys. Good job going for a walk. Good time. Get your butt out of bed and get moving. Very much a good thing to do. All right, so listen. The accountability check-in. Here's something for you guys right now. Are you waiting to feel ready for that right moment? Start your business. Go and stop drinking. Go and achieve a big goal. Here's the thing. Here's the spoiler. Motivation is not the answer. It's not. Does this sound familiar? I'll start fresh on Monday. I'm going to get it. I'm going to start next week. Next month's the day that I'm going to do it. Or I just need the right energy and then I'll start. But how many tomorrows have to come and go before you actually get started? And here you are. You're stuck. You're frustrated. You're falling behind on your game. still waiting for the right time and the right vibe to start. I've been you. Oh shit, yeah, I've been you. That place where you're at, it just sucks. Makes you feel like there's something wrong with you. But the reality is it's not true. You're just caught up in that motivation trap, that trap that convinces you that one day is the day to get started. One day things will feel better. One day you're like, oh yeah, it's Monday. I'm going to get going here. That you'll have the right energy, that you'll have that motivation that you need. Until one day becomes the end of the line. You're feeling all, and you leave yourself wondering, what the fuck have I done with my life? Reaching that audacious goal, it's not pretty. It's not glamorous. But it's how you get there, getting up and showing up every single day. Success isn't about feeling ready. It's about showing up when you're not. So stop, nation. Stop waiting for motivation. Build consistency and discipline instead. Because if you want that goal bad enough, those habits, they're going to get you there. So I invite you, as you're listening to the show right now, get up like good time, go for a walk. Look at that goal you wrote down, and don't wait till Monday. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait till the start of the next quarter, which is right around the corner. Get started today. Get started now. Get your ass out of bed and get going. With the morning show. Mornings in the Lab, myself, Keith Bilous, Jon Andersen CMartyFit, producer Flynn, and our guests, Will Ray and Rich Ingram, joining us here in the lab this morning. Will, I'm going to bring Flinner in here for this next segment. Marty, we got everybody up on the vertical stream, boys and girls. Good morning, Will. Good morning, Rich. Good to have you guys here this morning.
What up, fellas?
How
Good morning.
Hi, good morning. You guys good?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Awesome. So you guys haven't met Jon Andersen. Will, you have not met Jon yet?
Not officially.
What's up, Will? How are you, brother?
I'm doing well, man. Good to meet you finally.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah, there we go. So guys, I want to keep the conversation going from the first little bit here before we do some introductions. So guys, thoughts on the Tom Brady clip? Keith over here was like, nah. I was all like, so Will, over to you first. Did you get some vibe out of the Tom Brady clip, or does it kind of go in one ear out the other for you, brother?
I liked it. So I don't follow sports. I don't watch sports, so I don't know who the guy is. But what I got from the message was, whatever you have, do the best with that. Right. And I like that a lot. So
yes. Yeah.
I liked it.
What about you, Ingram? What did you think of it, brother?
I think you have to read between the lines. They had the orchestration of music behind it, which I think touches the emotional senses and makes it seem more powerful than it really is. But at the end of the day, he said one thing that really resonated with me. He said, I had 2 shots and you got to make them really good. I think that, that stands out to me because, dude, you don't have to make them really good. You just have to go out and try and make them really good. And I think that some people, if they read into that, they're like, well, he's Tom Brady. Of course he's going to go out and make them really good. But that's not the case, man. You jump out and do what you can.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, going around the table here, Flinner, I'm clear, and I'm first to admit this, I'm clearly wrong about this. And it's not about being right or wrong, but I'm clearly the one in this conversation that is not feeling it when my team is feeling it. And as a leader, here's the lesson, right? You're not always right? You share with your team, you talk to your team, you collaborate with your team, and it's not about agreeing and disagreeing. It's about agreeing and supporting. So I could have said to Tina and Marty this morning, fuck, I don't like this clip. We're not running it. But Tina's like, no, let's run it. Let's play with it. Let's talk about why you didn't kind of like it. And it wasn't that I didn't like it. It just didn't move me. But yet I bring Will on. Will's like, yeah, it moved me. John is like, yeah, it moved me. Marty's like, yeah, here's the reason I picked it. Flynn's like, it moved me. So as a leader, I can't encourage you enough. If you're going to a meeting today with your team, don't agree to disagree. Agree to commit. Because when you agree to commit, what you're saying to your colleague is, you know what? I'm committing to you. I'm not sure if I fully agree with it, but I'm going to commit to you and I'm going to support you because I see the work you put in and I'm going to get behind that. That's a skill that a lot of leaders, I believe anyways, struggle with because it's just like, John, I don't agree with you, man. And then what you're privately doing behind their back is you're giving them the finger. So agree to commit instead of agree to disagree. It's true.
And I see your point. We talk about this a lot. Motivation's kind of bullshit, right? We're socialized with this idea that the people that we look up to are always motivated. The people that we want to be like don't have any problems. with motivating themselves. They do. It's incredibly difficult. So if you depend on motivation and those feelings to ignite you, you're never going to get to where you want to go. So I get your perspective. Yeah, the piano fucking slow jazz. Did it do it for me? No, it didn't. It was, like the 1980s filter on it.
Yeah.
Was that impressive? I don't know. But it's conversation. And that's what you say you always want, Keith. You say, I don't want to shit on things. I want to bring them to the table. I want to have a conversation. I want to have dialogue so we can all learn.
That's why in hindsight, this is a great clip. So Marty, thank you, brother. And thank you for seeing something I didn't see. So as a leader, thank you for seeing something that I didn't see. And you're like, no, there's something here, man. Trust me. There's a learning in this. So Tina, thank you for even teaching me to say, no, you know what? Hold on. Let's draw the box a little wider, Keith. I see your point of view, Keith, but let's draw the box a little wider and let's go there. And so I appreciate as my colleagues and teammates. So we took something this morning that was like, into something of value and I think of interest. So awesome, guys. I appreciate that. But hey, listen, so we got a couple guests on the show here. We're going to get into the raw resilience conversation coming up here. But so first of all, top left corner, nation, get used to this guy. On Wednesdays, Rich Ingram's going to be joining us here on the show at the 30-minute mark, hanging out with us to have conversations around raw resilience. Rich may have accomplished a couple things in his life. Just a couple things, Richie?
I'll try.
You try, yeah. In a nutshell, Rich heads over to Iraq, does some incredible work as a United States soldier, comes back to America, and is like, you know what? I am not going to sit around and do nothing. I'm going to achieve the biggest audacious goals in my life. And the guy attacks things with every possibility imaginable. And we are excited to have him here in the lab, building business athletes here with Rich Ingram. Do some great things. So get used to seeing Rich on the show here on Wednesdays. And we're going to do a lot more work with Rich. And then we also have a guy today on the show, William Ray. Tech dad, been on the show a couple times, YouTube mentor, teaching devs, sharing lessons from his own journey. He's a front-end pro, all about building innovative, efficient solutions, skills, React, Vue, JavaScript, more. But here's what I'm really excited about with William on the show, is the fact that he chose our show to celebrate his 7-year drug-free sobriety journey, one of resilience, one of growth, and that deserves this.
Yes. Very nice, brother.
That deserves that. Will Ray, that's a journey, man. 7 years, brother. And it's not lost upon me, and it's not lost upon anybody on the show that it's on September 11th, how I opened up the show today. Did something happen on September 11th, Will, which is like, hey, man, this is the day that you're making this decision?
It was just another day of me out there ripping and running, honestly. And I've been tired of it for a long time. Was looking for a way out. I tried a few unsavory ways to find an exit, and they didn't work out. And I prayed, man. I mean, that's really all I can say is I prayed and a path opened up, and here we are today.
No kidding. Rich, I know when you and I are chatting about Will being on the show here, you lean into this. You're quite excited about hearing his journey. Rich, when I told you about Will's journey, 7 years to sobriety, your first reaction to me was, holy smokes, good on him. What comes to mind for you, Rich, when you hear of Will's story?
Well, one, I think it's amazing. I heard, read a little bit about the incarceration. And I think, when you put it into perspective, you fall into addictive habits, and man, how do you come out of them? When you're incarcerated, you're institutionalized, and now you're coming out of that institution and you're making your own decisions. That to me was one of the toughest things about coming out of the military. Right now I'm on my own. And I kind of relate to you, Will. I can't even imagine what you went through, but I was sent to youth detention center when I was in high school. I was a drinker and a fighter, man. So mine was on a small scale. I did 90 days, but it changed my life because it was a wake up call. But I definitely look up to you, and I applaud the progression that you've made as well.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Rich. So we're here talking raw resilience, inspiring conversations to get you guys going, get you guys out of bed here this morning. 7 years clean. Today marks William's 7-year anniversary of sobriety. But what's really I've enjoyed watching Will's journey is we met Will a number of months ago on the show. He's been on the platform, and Will just exited boot camp. And then I saw Will, and I want to get into this, Will, during our discussion today, where you're like, I need to go make some cash. I need to go to work. I need to go make some money. And what struck me is you ended up at some place to go. I think you went to go do some grass cutting. You ended up doing his website. And then I think the long story short was you uncovered an opportunity there that just continued to perpetuate itself. Right. So you're like, I'm going to go knock on that door thinking there's this one opportunity here. But in reality there's a bunch more opportunities behind that door. Will Ray.
For sure. That was an interesting story, to say the least. And it's kind of crazy because the last time I was on here, I was begging for a job.
I remember.
You were rooting for me, trying to help me get a job. And now like people are hitting me up for a job. And I'm like, I figured something else out. I don't really want to work for anybody. Things are working out for now. So I'm going to ride this wave for the moment. So Jon Andersen can comment on that. Johnny, tell Will what you've learned about this whole idea of I'm not fucking working for anybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that I guess the claim to fame, my favorite claim to fame, forget about anything else I've achieved in my life, is I've never collected a paycheck. I've never had a job because I've always decided I'm going to do it my way. Sometimes my way ended up, I was sleeping on a buddy's couch. So there's, doing it your own way is not always easy. But once you get enough momentum going, life is yours.
Yes, life is yours. All right, so listen, Marty, even though you're bringing some illness with you, pal, I think you're still ready for your fit tip of the day, brother.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I know you are.
I just wanted to come in real quick. That goes right along with that Tom Brady clip, that story. Just being ready. You were able to make the website. That was so good job on that, brother.
Look at that, another connection point, folks. It's like the clip was a good clip or something.
Marty knew what the hell he was doing. What the hell's the chief know? Chief knows nothing, man.
Keith, you got a hell of a team between me, Johnny, and Tina. Hell of a team.
I know it, and I love it. With Rich Ingram joining our team as well, I love
Rich on the team too.
We're getting better every time. I know.
We like the Avengers.
We are absolutely the Avengers, exactly. So hey, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do the accountability. We're gonna do the fit dip with Marty, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna dig into raw resilience. We want to sit down and talk with Will. We want to sit down and talk with Rich, and we want to get some content on the table for you guys to be inspired to help you guys get your day started and achieve those big ass goals. So let's do this. Marty, you're up, pal.
Let's get it. All right. We got excuse my voice first and foremost, but we're going to get through this. All right. We got the fitness tip for today. All right. Do you want to get ripped? If the answer is yes, which I'm assuming, I have 5 exercises that you need to do every week to help you build muscle and burn fat. Jon Andersen is going to love this. All right. First one, deadlifts. Best compound exercise. We talked about them yesterday. Working over 70% of your muscles. They work hamstrings, glutes, lower back, and core, right? Helps burn fat by engaging large muscle groups, all right? This will stimulate your growth, the release of your growth hormones, and that's crucial for your muscle repair and growth. Keep your back flat and keep a neutral spine. What's next? We got pull-ups. Great body weight exercise building your upper body strength, targeting your lats, biceps, and forearms. All right. This will improve your grip strength, and pull-ups activate multiple muscle fibers. All right. If you can't do a pull-up, you can do an assisted pull-up or do negatives. What's next? Squats. Me and John had a great talk about squats yesterday. All right. This is a full body powerhouse. This is going to help you build bigger legs, stronger glutes, and a rock solid core. Yes. Squats work your core. I know a lot of people didn't know that. All right. This will increase your testosterone and grow hormone levels. Okay. Squat deep for better muscle activation, but keep your form right. Keep that weight on your heels like John talked about yesterday if you were on the show. If not, go check it out. What's next? We got bench press. All right. Developing your chest, shoulders, and triceps. Great for upper body and muscle growth. And if you want to increase muscle engagement, you can pause at the bottom of the movement. You can use dumbbells for wider range of motion, and you can mess around with it with the hand placement if you're using a barbell. And lastly, we got planks. Great exercise, static hold that strengthens your core while improving posture and your balance. All right. Start with 30 seconds, work your way up to 1 minute, 2 minutes, and you might get the Guinness Book of World Records. Who knows? But keep working on it, all right? So incorporating these exercises into your training routine is going to ensure that you hit every major muscle group. Do these every week. Remember, getting ripped is about consistency, your form, and your intensity. So when you get good at it, increase the weight and watch them results come in. Stay focused, push yourself to be better every day. That's the fitness tip for today.
That's the fit tip of the day with CMartyFit. Christopher Martin bringing it today, feeling a little bit under the weather, but not in Chris's world. He's bringing it like he always does every single day, bottom of the hour. The Christopher Martin CMartyFit tip. All right, so you're going to bring back in Rich, Will, Jon Andersen, and we're going to get to topic around resilience and this whole idea of be resilient, be accountable, own it, or stay weak. So, boys, I got some statistics here that I want to get onto the table here. That's Will and Rich, looking at you two guys. I'm going to go around the table and have a conversation here, which is 63% of people, Gallup poll reports that 63% of people report that personal accountability, Rich, Will, help them overcome major challenges. The context is accountability is the most important thing when things aren't going well. Will, you first, pal.
Fully agree. People always talk about motivational quotes, motivational this, and I disagree with that because I'm not motivated most days. But the accountability and the discipline is what gets me to the long-term goals. So I fully agree with what that says. Because
What about you, Rich? Are you a motivation guy? Or are you all about accountability? And I know you're working on your endurance athletics and so forth. How do you keep yourself accountable instead of motivated?
I look at the end goal. That's how I try and do everything. I think that's one thing that the military really put in my mind is that you have an objective, and now I'm going to backwards plan to get there. And so I know that if I miss one day, that may be okay, but if I start missing more than that, my end goal is not going to look how I dreamed it to be. And so that's why I continue to show up every single day, no matter how ugly it looks. At least go do something towards the goal. And so, yeah, I think accountability is a lot more than the motivation. I mean, we know that's just kind of a big bullshit.
Yes. Yeah. But Marty and John, how can someone develop the practice of taking ownership of their actions, especially when failure is involved? Johnny.
I think first off, I just got to go back to the whole thing of motivation, that it's kind of it's like an illusion and I agree with that, because discipline is what stands behind motivation. You don't have the discipline behind the motivation. The motivation just floats away like a fart in the wind. So now to get to the question. So here's the thing. If you got to be accountable to yourself, meaning do what you say. If you can't honor your own word to yourself, how the hell do you think that someone else is going to, people are going to treat you the way you treat yourself. It's really, really easy. If you can't carry out your own shit, nobody's going to, I guess, simple enough. You want people to treat you a certain way, treat yourself that way first.
Yes. Yeah. Marty, your journey to athletics, man, we've talked about it on the show. You went from D1 athlete to feeling like a loser. How did you keep yourself accountable during that journey, Marty, so that you yourself were, failure was involved in that journey, Marty. Like failure was part of that journey. How did you get up and take ownership of those actions and keep rocking and rolling, pal?
Yeah, well, you got to be accountable, So if I'm out there, if I'm missing free throws, and I look at my past week, well, how many free throws did I shoot, right? So I'm big on process. What does your process look like? If you want to be successful, you got to stay within that process. And while you're going through it, you're always going to get the outcome that you want eventually. It might not happen when you want it to happen, but you're going to get that outcome. And then another thing is momentum, right? You can go positive momentum or negative momentum, right? That momentum is going to stack up. So I understand that if I have one day where I don't get my extra shots up, one day where I don't do my extra cardio at the end of my lift, it's easy the next day to be like, all right, I can skip again. I can skip a meal, I don't have to hit my protein today, or I don't have to drink my gallon of water. It's easier to go into that negative hole. But if I stay positive with it, it's easier to be positive and stay on track for that next day.
Will, looking at you, pal. 7 years ago, you made a decision. So 7, 3, 2,500 some odd days ago, give or take, you made this decision. So you stop drinking, become sober. I can't think every single day has been easy. How did you hold yourself accountable? Rich says, I kept looking at the end goal. You know, Johnny and Marty have talked about their failures and successes, but you're looking at that. So really, in a life of chasing sobriety, there is no end goal. It's just living a life in the loop every single day of chasing that one thing. How have you, Will, kept yourself accountable during those low days, those days where like, oh, fuck, man, I don't got a job. How am I paying the bills? I want to go and have something that I shouldn't do. Will Ray.
Oh, man, there's so many answers to this, but you know, the biggest thing is that I surrounded myself with people that really cared about me, really wanted to see me succeed. And we talk about that holding ourselves accountable and how we treat ourselves. I had to be taught how to treat myself by other people, right? They had to love on me, and they call it in the program that I'm in, they call it, we'll love you till you love yourself, right? And they had to teach me how to treat myself, because I just didn't know how. I've been ripping and running, and I'll say it was a lot more than just alcohol, right? Like it was everything, right? It didn't matter. Jail didn't matter. Like it just didn't. And days are hard. You know, you lean on your network, you find a reason to keep going. And a lot of times I just take it a day at a time, right? If I'm feeling down, I can't think, like with sobriety, there's not like a bigger picture. I don't want to look too far. I just know that my life right now that I've built is greater than anything I've ever had, and I don't want to. Right. So if I focus on today and stay on top of that and do what I need to do just for today, maybe tomorrow we'll do it again. Right.
I'm fascinated by something you said. I'm going to look to both of you guys, Rich and Will. Was jail a wake-up call for both you guys, or not necessarily? It wasn't for you, Will.
It was a vacation for me, man. I went to prison for a couple years,
dude,
and it was probably, I take that back. So that was the first time I tasted freedom. Right, was in prison, funny enough, right? So I do have to say, like, it gave me a wake up call in a different way, because I wasn't chasing drugs. I wasn't out robbing people. I wasn't doing the things I had to do every day. I was just living life, reading books, working out, hanging out. So it was a wake up call in the sense that it was a taste of freedom for me, which is, I know, kind of weird to be like, you went to prison and that's for the first time you tasted freedom, but that's how it went for me.
Brother, that's powerful, brother. Powerful, yes. Man. Powerful. And people tend to not realize they get themselves in this way of life. And it's like they don't realize that they're just running full speed, trying to keep their head above water. I love how like you said, going to jail allowed you to focus on living your daily life in a way that actually meant something. Even though you didn't have many choices, the few choices you had still gave you freedom. That's a powerful stuff, brother.
Very much so. I never looked at it that way. Rich, so you spent time in detention center. When you came out, was that your wake-up call to go into the military, or was your wake-up call to, okay, I'm going to go back and raise hell on Monday?
For me, yeah, for me, it's a little bit different, you know, because I was raised in a Southern Protestant home, right?
Yeah.
I was in a more vulnerable state. Where, you know, once I got there, I woke up, you know, it's like 4:30 in the morning, whatever it is, you know, you hear a ding and all the doors open, and, you know, and that's when you'll see guys, they're running to, cause you have kitchen patrol in the morning, whatever they used to call it, you know, and you'll see guys running cause they know who's on KP and stealing every bit of shit from whoever went to KP. Like, and you're like, man, this is not how I want to fucking live my life. And so mine was pretty quick turnaround, man. Like after a few days of that, I was like, you know what? I did nothing but reading, push-ups, all this stuff. My school was fortunate enough to like send me my materials, because I was ahead of the educational curriculum in the prison system. And so for me, it was a little bit different, but I'll tell you, it was probably where I made the decision to go in the military, because I loved that institution. I loved that rhythm. And even to this day, you know, John talks about habits. Mm-hmm. I have to have habits because I love that. I thrive on it. And so that's, I think, where it really started to kick in for me.
You discovered that in jail, and then you discovered that in the military. Am I correct in that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my dad.
Yes.
So you talk about a support system.
Yes.
I mean, you know, my dad really, I mean, he he pushed that. Now he wasn't around a lot, but when he came home, you know, it was, hey, you know, you are your habits. So if you think you're just going to go out and go drinking every night and still be able to wake up at 4 o'clock every morning and get it done, you're wrong. You know, leadership is 24/7. It doesn't work, you know, on and off.
I want to ask a question to all four of you boys. We've all had fathers. We all have fathers. I'm wondering the role that our fathers played in forming habits or not forming habits or setting rules, setting ground rules, right? So I'm going to start up in the top corner, Will Ray. You know, did you, was dad an influence in helping you set habits, or is that where perhaps you got lost and ended up in your own direction? Will?
He did his best. He was a single father for a while, and we came from a lifestyle of hustlers and, you know, living outside the law slightly. So, but overall, like he tried to instill his best in me. Like I give him a lot of credit. He tried to put a good work ethic in me. He tried to make me a good man, and he did the best he could with what he had.
And I know now you're a single father, and that's not lost upon me to hear you share this story. So you go from being a single father, having a single dad raise you, doing the best he can. And I've been watching you from afar, Will, and your journey of being a dad. Fair for me to assume that you've taken all those things you've learned from dad and you're like, all right, I'm doing this now differently?
Yeah, so I take the good from him, and then the bad, I try to change it up, right? Because I learn a lot from people on what not to do as much as I do what to do.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. Maybe I'm doing better, maybe not. I don't know.
And then Rich, you shared with us, and John, I'm coming to you next and over to you, Marty. But Rich, you shared with us over our last couple of times talking how dad was instrumental in, you know, you getting your shit sorted out. Cause he's like, okay, Rich, if you want to come live with us, if you want to come do stuff with me, you got to read a book and I want a book report. And it was basically this boom equals boom, boom equals boom. It wasn't this kind of, it was all about giving you boundaries, giving you rules. Talk about the influence of dad, either on the way to jail or on the way out of jail. Rich Ingram.
You know, he planted the seed, right? And so it was always there. And you know, after that, like I knew that's who I wanted to be. That's who I wanted to emulate. That's how I knew I would accomplish, you know, what I wanted. And so, he's one of my heroes.
Oh, I love that. Johnny, talk about dad. Talk about dad for you and your journey through life. I know you've shared some stuff with me, but let's talk about the power of fathers.
Well, I've got, you know, the one who made me, and I got the one who raised me.
Yes.
And so I got two of them. And, you know, funny enough, they were very, very different people, but they were both business owners. They started their own businesses. And so I got that on both sides of the fence. So I think that's one of the things that was kind of programmed into me, because kids, they don't give too much about what you say. They're going to do what you do. And so I was lucky enough to, I guess, just kind of through being around both of them, have this idea of, you know, wanting to do my own thing from the time I was young. And that's exactly what I did, which was a huge gift. Yeah. And so I think when it comes down to it, you know, Will, you hit on the head where we want to take the good stuff as much as we can and run with it. And we want to try to identify the bad stuff and put it on the shelf. And that's one thing that, you know, my dad that made me, you know, he had some behavior patterns that I guess you'd say were less than desirable. And so Terry, my wife, if I ever get in a situation where I'm acting in that way, she has a few words that she could say depending on what I'm doing. And I hear that word, man, and it's like somebody it just like, boom, I'm unplugged. I stop what I'm doing. I'm like, my awareness of what's going on around me goes sky high because I realize I'm doing something I don't want to be doing, and I'm trying to figure it out. And so, you know, I think my lucky stars that I have her, that she's willing to be honest with me enough to let me know, hey, you're fucking up. Straighten your shit up.
That's powerful awareness is what that is, frankly. Marty, how about you, pal? Influence of dad in your journey and through school and through athletics and into where you are today. Talk about your journey, you know, with dad.
I say my dad set the tone, man. My dad, you know, he won a national championship in college.
Nice.
All-American in high school. So he was well known in the area, you know, growing up here. So like, you know, I played for a lot of coaches that played with and against my dad. So they knew whose son they were dealing with. So I knew growing up, you know, I can't just not live to my greatest potential. And you know, I would say my dad, you know, he probably didn't reach where he wanted to in his career, and so I could kind of put together where he made mistakes. You know, and he shared, there's some stuff he shared with me, some stuff he didn't share with me. I kind of had to put it together.
Yeah.
But I was able to, you know, see a level of greatness, but see why he didn't reach his greatness, and I was able to soak that game up, and that's kind of why I'm the crazy person you got on your team now.
Yeah, I love that. Will, you know, Will and Rich, you both have kids, and we're here talking about resilience today, talking about accountability today. You both have had your personal journeys through life. Will, looking at you again first, pal. How do you look to your kids as a dad now and talking about resilience and talking about accountability and sharing your story? Or maybe you're not yet, but when you sit down with the kids and they see you busting your ass all the time, what does resilience mean to you for them, and what does accountability mean to you for them? Will?
I try to show them and be super open with everything in my life, right? So
Yes.
Like, when I was raised, it was a lot of like quiet stuff. We didn't talk about a lot of things
Yes.
that I feel like are really valuable to learn as a kid, because there's a real world out there, right? You're not a kid forever. And the more that we withhold from our children, at least for myself, I feel like I'm just harming them in the long run. Like I want to teach them stuff that's going to be valuable in their whole life. So be accountable. Like if I don't feel good that day, I make sure to let them know, like, I don't feel good today. Let me go in there and kill it. You know what I mean? And I'll let them know, like, this is what it is. It's normal.
Do you talk to your kids, Will, about do your kids know your whole story?
Well, yeah, because I was absent in their life for a long time. And, you know, eventually you have to have that conversation with them of like,
wow,
dad was, you know, not around. Some of them knew because, you know, I was in prison for a while, right? So the kids knew. The moms told them a little bit. I'm pretty open with my kids, though, right? The youngest one's 13, and I'm pretty open with all of them, right? I want them to learn from my mistakes, not hide my mistakes, so they can make them. I want them to know what they are so they can avoid them.
As Jon Andersen would say, you're giving me some chicken skin listening to you talk, because I'm putting myself in your shoes and I'm listening to you talk right now, and I'm watching Jon and Marty and Rich. I have empathy for those feelings you'd have for that conversation with your kids. Not an easy one. Not an easy one. Rich, sitting with your kids, telling your stories, not easy as well.
It's not, but they're a little too young to understand. I mean, you know, it was awkward for them at first. You walk into their classroom and every kid's like, how'd you lose your arm? You know, so I'm the dad with one arm, right? But I'm blunt about it, man. You know, they ask and I say, hey, I lost my arm fighting bad guys for your freedom. And
Yeah,
you know,
awesome.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Be straight up, right? And but I'll tell you, you know, my kids are one of my reasons for living. And so yeah, it was so funny when I got back from my 100-mile a couple weeks ago, my kids started running around the house saying, I'll never quit. And like 20 minutes later, it passed out on the couch. You know, I was like, yeah, that's how good. But so we're dealing with a situation right now. I just got my 4-year-old son. So I have a 6'4" and 2-year-old. My 4-year-old son, I just put him in jiu-jitsu. And so we're about in the 4th or 5th practice. And he's like, I don't want to go. And he's not doing that great. Like he's not following instructions. Well, so my first thing is just like, hey, let me just pull him out of this. But at the end of the day, if I do that, the way I see it is I'm quitting. He's not quitting. He can't make that decision for himself.
Yes.
And so, you know, I told the instructor, I was like, hey, look, man, we're just going to show up again on Wednesday. So this afternoon, we're going to go back. And now whether he sits in my lap and watches, because he is young, right? Or he goes in and he gives it a shot, whatever. But if I pull him out, I know that I'm quitting and I'm setting a bad example for him. So, man, my children, I can't. They push me to different levels that I otherwise don't know that I would be reaching had I not had them. So, you know, try and set the example. And then, you know, we talk through it, like why this is a commitment. This is how we get better at things. And so that's kind of how I'm, you know, approach it.
Yeah. Jon, Marty.
Well, with my kids, one of the things that you always hear me say, they don't give a shit what we say, they care what we do. And, you know, that was something I kind of got a grip on really early in parenthood. So I thought, you know, I'm going to try to take this. I'm going to try to hit it from both sides because I know they're going to watch what I'm doing. But if I say what I'm going to do and I do it, then they're going to start to see that connection. So I started really telling them, look, you have to own your word to yourself. If you say you're going to do something, you got to do it. And then I would do it. And sometimes they would say to me, Dad, you said you're going to do that. And I'm like, son of a bitch, I really don't need to anymore, but God damn it, I guess I better. And, inside I'm cussing myself out. I was like, son of a bitch, I shouldn't have said that. But I did it because it was what they needed to see. And so I guess what I did with my parenting journey was knowing that they don't care what we say. I made what I said important by always doing what I said, which then translated into them honoring their own words to themselves and really becoming kind of high performance youngsters. They just were like, they just, when it was time to do something, they just did it. They didn't think about it.
Yeah. Marty, check this comment out from Good Time. Never meet the one that made me, but had a great stepfather. That's awesome. Good Time. Thanks for sharing your comments with us. And Marty, check out Jack Dugan. Rich, what a story. Nothing like fatherhood. I have the same thought process with my son. That's exceptional. Marty, comments that you're hearing from Rich and Will, comments from you, pal?
Now, Rich, I love that story. I just saw a similar story. This guy had his little girl in wrestling, and she's 5 years old, and the 8-year-old was beating up on her, and they keep coming to the wrestling. So that's like the same message there. That was pretty cool. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't have any kids yet, but what I will say is, when I'm around kids and they see me, whether it's doing fitness or, being, energetic, doing something positive, the kids try to emulate that. So when I'm with my goddaughters, they try to emulate that. So I'm assuming that's going to happen with my kids too, because I'm going to be a crazy fit dad, but
you're leading by example, brother. Leading by example. That's all it comes down to, brother. You're already doing it.
Well, appreciate that. I'm glad you went there, John, with leading by example. Good segue, because I want to go back to Rich and Will. We talk often about showing our kids instead of telling our kids, right? So Will, I'm looking at you, brother, and then Rich, I'm gonna look at you as well. So we talk about, don't do that, son. Don't do that, son. Don't do that. Well, Dad, you did that, and you ended up in jail. Right. So I'm sorry, Will, to have to go here with you, but it's this conversation of how do you tell your kids not? I'm only going to make an assumption on your behalf that every single day you work your ass off to show, don't you? Because you recognize your words. I love you, man, but your words don't hold as much value as what you're showing your kids, right? Is that fair for me to say, Will?
Oh, for sure. Just like John was saying, they don't care what you say. They're watching your actions, but luckily enough, they kind of seen the transition from when I was in active addiction in prison and all these different things to Dad's a part of my life every single day. I know Dad's here. I count on him. Like, he makes sure the lights are on. Like, so I don't really have to talk about it because I've shown it.
Yes.
They just see it.
And then every single day you show up and you show them, right? And I got to think that that's so far back in a memory for them where now it's just like, oh yeah, Dad's doing this, Dad's doing that. And talk about how that must make you feel today, recognizing that hump, that mountain, that journey is that far back behind you, Will.
Man, it's kind of hard to it's getting to the point that it's hard to remember that I used to live like that, right? Like, I try not to forget because pain is a great motivator for me. So I got to remember those tough times, why I'm doing it to stay on top. But I'm being honest, I mean, it's been a long time and I live a really different life today. And it's night and day, and it's kind of getting hard to remember. Like, man, you used to run around and do that stuff. Like, you used to treat people like that. You used to treat yourself like that. Like, it's getting harder and harder to remember. So this is a good day for me to remember the real painful stuff, so I know why I continue to do this. So I got to remember that sucks sitting in an alley by yourself. It did suck being in prison every night by yourself with nobody to talk to, like being sick, all these different things. Like, pain is a great motivator for me.
Yeah. We're gonna come back with a lifestyle tip here in a couple moments, Johnny. So get ready for that. But Rich, I see you smiling listening to Will talk. I can see your ears perking up. You're leaning into the conversation. Things that Will are saying is resonating for you, Rich. What's resonating about what Will's saying to you?
Well, I love the last thing he said. Pain is a great motivator for me. I think, sometimes that pain is addictive, right, in a positive manner. And other times we don't want to go back to it. And for me, when you talk about having kids, my kids are, again, 6, 4, and 2. I try and tell them just repeatedly, but I tell them, you are going to fail. Daddy has failed a lot. And the way that I see one of my jobs is to ensure that you don't repeat at least my failures, right? Right. And I'm going to continue to fail. I will fail, and you're going to see me fail, but that's okay, because I'm going to get up and I'm going to go again, and I'm not the best dad, man. I raise my voice sometimes, a lot of times. I have 3 kids, like it's tough, but I think
Will's like,
yeah. And that's why I was smiling here, because I kind of get where he's coming from, but we have to give ourselves grace and be kind to ourselves. Like, hey man, you're not perfect, and nobody is. All this stuff that's floating around on social media with everybody always smiling, like, that's horse shit. Like, they're not. We're just humans. And hey man, just keep trying to be the best. And that's all we can show our kids.
Will, I see you. You're loving this, aren't you?
Yes. He hit the nail on the head right there. Right. Like, we are going to fail. So I believe in failing loudly, because the failures are really just learning lessons. And I want everybody to know, like, I failed super hard. Right. But watch me keep going. Watch me win the next one. Watch me be hunting for a job. I mean, I did that very loudly, that I was begging for a job. Last week, I made more money in 1 week than I did in a month at my highest paying job. Right. And like, I don't know if I can continue it, but it's like one of those things that you watch me fail 5 times in a row, but then you watch me win one big one, right? And here we are. And it's the same thing in all areas of my life.
Failure is a big word we lean into here in the lab. Johnny, I'm going to get you ready for the lifestyle tip here in a minute, but I want to just kind of address this quickly, and then we're going to come back and keep the conversation. So Jimmy and Flinner, we're going to do a little audible on the playbook here today. I want to keep this dialogue going because this is really good. So we're going to put John and Jimmy on the shelf for our gym conversation today and stay here today. But failure, we talk about failure often. Are we talking about the new definition of being a man? Accepting failure? Walking towards failure? Embracing failure? Talking to failure with our kids? We're here on this show working at redefining masculinity and not being afraid to share our feelings, not being afraid to perhaps cry, not being afraid to talk to our friends, right? And have these conversations. But most importantly, not being afraid to embrace failure and tell our kids about it. Jon Andersen, I see you leaning in and nodding on this one, pal.
Man, if people understood that failure is the front door to success, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, you're not failing, you're tested.
Yes.
And really, when it comes down to it, you're only going to be considered a failure if you fall down and you don't have the nuts to stand back up, because all you got to do is stand up one more time than you fell down, and the process continues, and you are basically on your way to success. Failure is just a part of that process. You cannot be successful without failing.
But what I'm suspecting, though, and Will and Rich, I'm looking at you boys, what I'm suspecting, growing up, you weren't taught that. You were not taught and discussed about failure. And I'm going to wonder out loud, Ray, Will, if that was part of your journey to the dark side, which was you felt invincible. You felt like you couldn't fail. You felt like I can fucking do everything, so I'm not failing.
I felt like a failure at everything, and we didn't share that it was okay to not be good at something or fail at something. I wasn't taught that as a child, so I really felt like a failure at everything. And when I started to learn that I could hustle on the streets and that people would like to be around me, and that became addictive to me, right? Like, I held the power to other people, which I ended up dipping into my own power later. But in the beginning, that was the addictive part. Like, people wanted to be around me. Everybody liked me. I was the man. And I feel like a big reason I went that way is because I felt like a failure at everything. I didn't feel like I was good at anything. I just felt like I failed everything. And then that came along and I felt like a winner. I was like, I'm winning at everything, right? And that's kind of what I think catapulted that, because for a long time it wasn't pain. It was a really good life, kind of, right? Like, it was, it's things, but things were not bad for a long time, and that's what continued it for years and years. And eventually it got real painful.
Rich, you weren't taught failure. You had to learn it yourself, didn't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, I didn't learn failure till after I lost my arm. I mean, that's why I consider it to be a blessing, really. It's all about freedom. You free yourself as soon as you can say, I failed at this. As soon as you can show other people your failure, it's almost like you just let all that weight off of you, and it's like, all right, let's go.
Pressure's gone, baby.
It's gone. And you know, I'm a huge advocate for running and lifting weights, but those are also sports that can be done in a vacuum to yourself, right? Can be.
Yes.
And so when I was growing up, I was good at those things. You know, a lot of things that like in group sports, if I showed up and I wasn't really good to begin with, I quit because I wasn't taught that quitting is wrong. And so, you know, I wouldn't try new things. Before I lost my arm, I wouldn't try new things to go fail. I knew I was good at it. You know, when I was in the military, I ran a 2-minute mile in less than 11 minutes. You know, so I knew I was good at that. I didn't want other people to you know, see me get knocked off my perch. So I thought when I lost my arm, I had to reinvent myself. I didn't care about failure. I showed up at everything. And so that really, I mean, it's just like you feel so much more open and free when you can open up to failure.
Yeah. Hey, you're hanging out with Keith Bilous, CMartyFit, Jon Andersen, and our guests, Will Ray, and our new co-host, Rich Ingram, here Mornings in the Lab with Keith and friends. We're talking resilience. We're talking about accountability. We're talking with a couple gentlemen, Will Ray and Rich Ingram, who have faced adversity in life and have said, fuck adversity, I'm moving past it. Will is celebrating 7 years of sobriety today, and that deserves nothing but this. Like, that's just, like, I love that. I haven't had a drink in a number of years as well, but just this whole idea of picking that path and going after, Will, I think is nothing but a congratulations for you. And I applaud you for that. And I thank you for sharing this on the show here with us. And Real Deal Prime, when you understand how to lose, there's nothing left to lose. You're absolutely right. Daniel Jameson, we're here talking about winning today. We're talking about overcoming resilience and battling through accountability. So Johnny, are you ready for the lifestyle tip? We're going to give these guys a break. If you guys want to step away for a stretch, go for a bathroom break, Johnny's going to step up for a lifestyle tip. And then I want to come back and keep the conversation going. I want to talk about stress. I want to talk about people feeling overwhelmed and how you get through that and battle through that and so forth. So, boys, we're going to put you on in the side room for a quick second, and John's going to do a lifestyle tip. We're going to come back. All right, let's do this here. There we go. Boom.
Here we go. All right. We all deal with procrastination. It's, for some people, it's a huge problem. Others, not so much, but we all deal with it. It's just something we have to manage. It's not like we push a button and it goes away. So how do you attack getting rid of procrastination? Well, that's what this tip is all about. So you want to start small, first off. So the tip or the principle that I want to give you has to do with 5 seconds. If you can do something in 5 seconds, do it now. If it's going to take more than 5 seconds, okay, I get it. You might need the time to do it later. Now, look around your life. Do you find dirty laundry on the ground that didn't quite make it into the dirty laundry bin? Do you find your toothbrush not put back in the drawer? Do you find shit that just didn't get put away that would have taken less than 5 seconds? If you're one of those people, this tip is for you. If you find yourself saying, I'm going to do it later, ask yourself a simple question. Can I get this done in 5 seconds or less? If you can, do it. You'll actually save time, because putting it on the counter and having to loop back to it to do it later is actually going to waste time. So by doing this, you're going to create time for yourself, but more importantly, you're going to start putting a whooping on procrastination. And once you start to manage the little things, the little daily things that you're doing to procrastinate, it becomes easier to do it with the big ones. And pretty soon, life is starting to change, all because you learn to manage your procrastination with the stuff that took 5 seconds or less. Rock and roll.
Awesome. There's the lifestyle tip with Jon Andersen, dropping every single day. Something to give you guys something to think about. And I'll tell you, I use these things myself. I go throughout my day and I'm thinking, oh yeah, Andersen said that. So I'll make a change. We're all about giving you guys habit stacking and tips and tricks to help you guys get your day going, help you guys achieve your big, most audacious goals. Habits are the key to success. Habits are the key to battling through resilience. Habits are the key to achieving the greatest, most audacious goals. Will, Rich, how do you battle self-doubt? Rich, you come back from Iraq, one arm, nothing but doubt in your head. And you're like, no, I'm going to move that doubt out and I'm going to embrace possibility. And you've said to me, man, I feel like I have an advantage over you, Keith, because I look at every situation where, I want to solve something that you can't solve as an able-bodied human. But how do you how do you manage that stress and overcome self-doubt when you can't do something or things aren't going well? Rich Ingram, and then over to you, Will, next.
So I definitely think the confidence is a huge piece of resilience. How do we get there? So for me, that's one of the reasons why I run, right? I set a target.
Yeah.
And I have that plan. When I get done with every single workout, I know that I did my best. I showed up and I'm confident. So whenever I get anxiety, I know, like for me, and we've said it once or so, like, hey, go for a run. One of my, and I this works for me 100% of the time. Whenever I start getting anxious, I walk around with a composition notebook, old school, man.
Oh,
and yeah. And journaling for me has worked wonders. And so the first thing that I do, and you can do this very briefly, but the first thing I do is say, okay, what am I feeling right now? And then I say, why do I think that I'm feeling like this? Okay. And that may be because, hey, I'm not making the number of sales meetings that I wanted, whatever it may be. And then the third thing is, am I executing according to the plan? Now, if I am, hey, great, man, keep going. Maybe even double down. If I'm not, then hey, tomorrow when I'm out of this funk, let's maybe approach and get a different plan, right? And then I always am with affirmations, positive affirmations. And 10 times out of 10, I'm out of my anxious or depressive state. I mean, and so those are just some tools that I use to stay confident and keep going.
Will, I see you nodding your head. As I've gotten to know you over the last few months, you strike me as somebody who subscribes to that same theory as Rich.
Yeah. So I don't journal, but it's always recommended to me too. And I know a lot of successful people in my life journal, and they talk about it greatly. And it's something that I need to have more discipline on. My own personal take is I feel doubt almost every day, right? Like I have like a thing inside of me that says you're going to fail. You're never going to do this, right? And I got to fight that every day. So my strategy is I'm trying to rewire my brain. So when I feel the doubt, I just go work harder, and I'm trying to like correlate doubt with you just need to go work harder. And sometimes it works. Sometimes I really just need to take a nap and get back at it. But that's kind of where I'm at with dealing with that, because I deal with doubt every day. And as soon as I start feeling it creeping in, set a small goal and accomplish that real quick. That way I can build that confidence, like Rich was saying, because confidence is so important, but it's also something you got to build on top of over periods of time.
I got to follow that up. I love that, brother. So I'm the same way. Every day I wake up and I have that voice that's telling me I'm not good enough. I have the self-doubt. I have all the shit, all the anxiety. And that's why I'm so big on my habits, the things that I do for when I'm executing the things that I know I need to do. It basically sticks a sock in that mouth that's saying all that nasty shit. But the thing is, it's a daily thing. I can't think if I did it today and tomorrow I don't have to. No. If I don't do the stuff that I do for that little voice whoops my ass. And we'll call it anxiety, call it whatever. But bottom line is all that shit that people have a hard time managing. For me, when I execute what I know I do every day on a daily basis, the stuff that makes me, that is my management tool.
Marty?
I got this switch in my head, man. When I feel doubt, I hit that switch and I just remind myself of everything I've been through, everything I overcame. And I tell myself I'm that guy. I'm him. And that works for me. And then all the doubt goes out the window because, we've all been through we've all been through hard things. We've all been through something we feel like we can brag about, something we accomplished, something we're proud of, something we can boast about. So I just tap into that.
You know what I love about this conversation, gentlemen, is anybody tuning in right now paying attention to us? And I see a lot of people in the comments there. Nobody would have any awareness at the level of awareness that you all have on this show right now. Rich, you're like, I'm feeling stressed out. You get your journal out and you look into your own mirror, into your own brain. And you're like, okay, I got to talk myself through this. Will, you're the same thing. You're like, I'm not feeling it right now. I'm going to go for a nap or I'm going to do this. John, I've gotten to know John over the months here, and he's all about habits. And he's like, if I get into my habit rhythm, I'm fucked. Terry says a word, I got to stay on track. Marty, the same thing. But the point is, there's intention behind your thoughts. there's gentlemen right now listening to this show that haven't arrived at that intention yet. They're still lost. Like, you intentionally had to pick up that notebook, Rich, and say, okay, I'm going to write in this. Right? John has had to experience some difficulties in life to have intention to say, hold on, I know that if I go down this path, this ain't going to work for me. Intention's a powerful word. Once we embrace it, it's magic. Right? And it's a scary word, because when Rich picks up that notebook and he's feeling anxious, walking around with intention, he's got to intentionally address his feelings and say, holy fuck, man, I'm not feeling very good about myself right now. I got to do something about it. That's powerful shit, gentlemen. So if you're listening in right now, think about the power of intention and how it can move you towards your goals. Johnny, I see you nodding in on that. Talk about the power of intention, Johnny. And I know you're a big habit guy. Let's talk about intention for a quick second.
I mean, you break it. I'd like to make it simple. So, when you think about how do you intend to behave today, that's going to make you the best version of you, so you can give that to your kids, so you can give it to your wife. You got to decide, what do I intend to do today? And for me, my habits, the things that I do, that's the stuff that keeps me where I need to be. I know that I have to wake up intentionally to do the shit that I need to do so I can become the best version of me before the world needs me. And that's what I do every day.
That's why I'm so inspired by Will and Rich. Because, Will, you have intentionally woken up every single day for 7 years and made intentional choices to get you here today, right? And Rich, you the same thing. That's hard to do, man. But let's look at when we fall. Giving ourselves permission to begin again, right, Will? So there's got to be times in your 7 years where there's been difficult moments. And I'm going to think to myself that you addressed it, you went to bed, you got up the next day, and you restarted again. I'm not suggesting by any stretch that you broke sobriety over 7 years, but what I'm suggesting is that every day wasn't the best. So there's days where you had to restart your journey again with intention. Let's lean into that, Will Ray.
So what I really think, and I see it with all you guys right now, like we have all came to a place that we accept ourselves for our flaws and our strengths, right?
Yes.
And I read somewhere, I think like in maybe the Art of War or something, but it was about knowing what your weaknesses are, reinforcing them, or using them to your asset, right? And in my program, that's what it's all about, is that I accept me for who I am. Like, I know my flaws. I know that I bounce around from project to project and I get bored really quickly. So I found a way that I could do multiple things that keep me on track, right? And use my defect as an asset. It is about like accepting that I'm going to fail, right? You guys said it, like failure. It's just once you get to that point that you accept that it's just part of the process, right? That's when you start to elevate your game, because it's no longer like the ego that I'm trying to protect. Oh, I never failed. I'm this guy. I'm perfect. It's more of like, that's who I am. We're going to fail. It's part of the process. I'm going to go again, because like, I don't remember who said it, but it's all about testing new paths. Right. I'm just going to keep testing until I find that path that's got a little bit less resistance, and I'm going to go through it further. And then I'm going to test the next set of paths and keep moving forward. And it's all about acceptance. I see it in all you guys, the way you guys talk and everything. You accept yourself for everything. So it's allowed you to look at your negatives or your failures or your self-doubt, and you've been able to reinforce that part of you. So all you guys have a process for that, right?
Is that surprising to you, Will? You know, as you've gotten to know myself and Marty and Johnny watching the show, and now Rich, as a man, you know, we're talking to men on this show. Are you surprised by everyone's level of acceptance on this show, or as you keep listening to this, or is that becoming normal for you, Will?
That's why me and you hit it off pretty early on, because I recognize that in you, because it's something I finally have learned how to do.
Yes.
Myself. So honestly, I don't feel surprised. Like, I feel like I'm in a stage right now where I'm the little guy, and I'm learning from you guys is how I feel right now.
Well, I think we're all learning from each other here, is what it is.
But that's the thing, is we just accept it. And I'm not surprised. You guys are all high performers, business athletes, as you say. And I'm not surprised, because these are the things that it takes to be successful.
Okay. What about you?
Life is a sport, baby. Life is a sport, you know?
Yes. Yeah. Rich, I see you nodding and smiling at this, and you talk about acceptance. What do you, as you're getting to know us and getting to know the show and getting to know Will, Talk about this idea of acceptance and starting all over again.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I was saying earlier, it just comes down to freeing yourself, like taking the shackles off, right? Because that's why I like the term raw resilience. Nothing, you cannot take advantage of everything you have to offer without being true to yourself and true to who you are, right? Like you got to take stock of who you are and be true about it. And so I think that's where it all starts, man. I try to be nice to myself. Like, look, you know, the world, the era that we were raised in, it's like, you know, we were taught like, hey, you know, I'll tell my head like, don't fuck this up. Don't be a fuck up. Right. And like, that's not the way to go about it. Like we can spin that and it's like, you are enough. You have, you know, nobody can take what you have. And so, you know, that's how I kind of like try and spin it because man, I like, oftentimes like I bite off more than I can chew or I make too many promises or whatever. And then I'm hustling and then things fall through and that's all right. But I think that's where resilience comes is like, hey man, you just wake up and you go try and dominate another day. Like that's the only thing that you can do. And as soon as we realize that all these fuck ups are just part of the process, like it becomes that much easier. You start taking control of the emotions instead of letting them making decisions for you.
Yes.
So, and it almost becomes a challenge, right? Like John said, like it almost starts to become fun to how are you managing your emotional intelligence and the things that are, you know, happening in your life.
Yeah, emotional intelligence is the absolute superpower, I believe. Marty, can resilience be trained, or is it something that you have or you don't have?
I think it's something that you learn. I think you got to mess up to be able to learn resilience. You know, and I don't think you can teach it to somebody. You got to experience it to understand it. And in my opinion, I don't know how you feel about that. But any level of resilience that I've developed in my life was just from experience.
Yeah. Johnny.
Oh man, you know, as we sit here and talk, you know, in my mind, I always try to break things down simple. How do we let this apply? How's this, you know, where's the takeaway for our people? And, you know, in all of this conversation, resilience and everything else, I find myself wanting to say to our listeners, you know, fear is something that makes us all run. The question is, where are we running? Are we running from it or are we running to it? And when you learn to run to it, that's when everything starts to change. And we all have fear. We all have doubts. And you got to really take some inventory on yourself. Are you leaning into it or are you running away from it? In the beginning of what I did with my life, I was actually running from it. So I was open doors, but I was going the wrong direction, but I was still opening doors. And I learned, oh shit, these doors aren't really giving me much. And then I figured out, okay, I go back the other way. I run into it. I open these doors. Holy shit, look what's in here. And so when it comes down to it, you know, break it down simple, man. Where are you running? Are you running to it or are you running from it? Because if you're running from it, you're still moving. Yes. But spin it around. Go the other direction, and you're going to realize that there's a lot more of what you want waiting for you.
Yes. Will, Rich, can resilience be trained, or is it something you have to do, or something you have to learn?
I agree with what Marty said, that it's got to be taught. I had to learn it by going through it, right? Because in the beginning, I just didn't have it, and over time, I think it has been taught. And I never thought about that until just now. But as we're sitting here, I'm like, it is something that's kind of taught, isn't it?
Yeah. You got to teach yourself to pursue the things that, you know, that scare you rather than, you know, we're all taught we got fight or flight, and most of us, it's flight that we end up reacting to. And we got to teach ourselves to turn around, take a stand.
And purely making an assumption, Rich Ingram, but you know, when you wake up in Walter Reed Hospital and you look to your left, you had no choice but to be resilient.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I told you at one point, like, it's a little easier for me, right? I was backed in a corner, like, you know, so for me, for somebody that's making a decision today, like, hey, I'm sick of this shit, I'm moving this way. It's tougher for them. I didn't have a choice. But I will say, your experiences they will teach you to be resilient, but there's no process to it. right? You know, I have several books that because I started studying resilience, and so it's the same thing with leadership, right? Like some people just have innate leadership abilities.
Yes.
But once you start learning the process of leadership, that's when everything just exponentially increases. So you can be an amazing, resilient human, but once you start studying it, there's no limit. It just takes you and molds you into that much more of a more powerful, resilient person.
Yeah. Gentlemen, what a great conversation today around resilience and accountability and moving forward in life and being resilient, being accountable, tips for building a stronger mindset. This time in the show, John's going to take a break for a restroom break. We're going to do our creator spotlight, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up and say goodbye to everybody. So, Johnny, I'm going to excuse you from the stage. I'm going to bring up I'm going to add on our friend Christina Flynn to the stage over here. And Flynn knows how this works. Well, you've been here to know how this works. Rich, you know how this works. And so now, Jimmy, producer Jimmy, we have somebody I got sitting over here who Christina says, hey, I got a great creator for us to celebrate. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And she's like, I know who this person is. I've done some work with this person. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So today's creator spotlight is all the way from Portland, Oregon, United States, making solo millionaire dreams come true by designing a bespoke combination of strategy and branding plus systems plus mindset that auto-magically turn dreams into reality. So today's creator spotlight for September 11th, Mornings in the Lab, is, drumroll please, Casey Jones. Casey! Yes, sirree! Become a solo millionaire with Casey Jones. She is being celebrated today. Why Christina Flynn?
So you talk
You're
about
muted.
resilience. I don't know why. It doesn't show muted for me. How's that? We good? We good?
Go for it there. Why are we nominating Casey Jones today, Christina?
So you talk about resilience. Casey's been on this platform for, I don't even know how long. It's got to be close to a decade. She very early in her platform journey went viral and got really excited. Unfortunately, she went viral for something that wasn't really her expertise. She kind of just made a comment about something. And so she was flooded with opportunity, but it was all the wrong opportunity. So over the last 5, 7, 8, whatever years it is, Casey's really taken her time on the platform to say, I don't have it all figured out. She's very open about her story. She's very open about her own resilience. She's dealt with a lot of shit, both personally and professionally. She was attacked by a dog, a few years back, and very, very intensely injured. And again, also talks about how Rich and Will have, how that was something that helped her, that resilience and learning that really incredibly difficult thing, and having that impact to her life made her a stronger person. And she's just very, very open about the journey and makes really good fucking content to teach you how to do it too. So I've just got a lot of respect for what she's doing. I like the fact that she's playing on this like solo millionaire dreams. It's sort of like the, I can help you make 10K a month. What she then says immediately afterwards is, yeah, but if you want to do that, you actually have to take some practical steps for getting there. You need systems, you need mindset, you need to be able to know how to sell, and she's going to help you actually get there. It's beyond just like, look at me, I'm in Canada hanging out, I'm a digital nomad, and you can make 10K a month like me. It's like, no, this shit's hard. I'm going to teach you how to get there, and I'm going to give you the systems to do it. So I just got a lot of respect for Casey.
So Casey Jones, we are celebrating you today. Creator Spotlight, Mornings in the Lab. You can follow her and connect with her on LinkedIn if you need her help. Also check out her content on X and TikTok too. So if you want to have your dreams come true, you want to become a solo millionaire, yeah, just talk to Casey. She'll set you up. But I suspect, as Flynn said, you're going to have to put the work in because nothing comes for free and nothing comes easy. Casey Jones, celebrating you here. Come back and join us, Mornings in the Lab, and celebrate somebody else for the Creator Spotlight. All right, guys, we're coming towards the end of our show today. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation. It has been a lot of fun. Let's bring John back on stage here. Let's wrap it up. What stands out for you today, guys? Richie, what stands out to you today for today's show?
I mean, golly, what hasn't? I learned so much and that's, I started, I think I got on the show like a week ago. Yeah. I've been listening every morning. Like, and I make my daughter listen. I take her to school across town in Austin, Texas, and she's like, "What is that, Daddy?" And I was like, "Just listen, baby." But hey, we don't need to water down the content. She doesn't know what a dolphin dick is, so it's okay. But look, man, I was just thinking, like, I'm motivated, like not that I want to end the call because I love you guys, but like. I'm just motivated to go dominate my day now, man. Like, I kind of can't wait. So anyways, I'll leave it at that. I won't pontificate more, but man, I love you guys.
Well, Nation, I'll tell you something. When I invited Rich to join the show and do some work with us, he's like, "Hey, Keith, what can I do for homework?" And Johnny will like this, man. I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? I'm like, talk like Anderson, talk in sound bites. Don't talk in paragraphs. That's exactly
that was number one.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, a little side note. Where after the first few shows, like he calls me and said, "Hey, you're doing great, but Jesus Christ, you're long-winded. Shorten that stuff up a little bit so I can make some clips."
Well, he said your voicemails, every one of them are 37 seconds long.
Yeah,
he's like, so, he has a system for that. He's true. Coachable.
It's true. Will, what'd you take out of today's show, man? Brother, I just want to pause. I love you, man. I'm serious. I love you. I love your journey. I'm thoroughly grateful that I've met you. I'm thoroughly grateful that I get to interact with you on the platforms, and I'm thoroughly grateful that you're supportive of my dreams and what I'm trying to do here in the lab. So, man, I applaud you. I appreciate you. I respect you, and I got nothing but love for you, man. I really do. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for being a friend of the show. And, brother, you come celebrate every single fucking year with us, okay?
And that's a mutual feeling, man. I love you too. Thank you for having me here. As for what I've learned so much, man, it's a good validation for me to know that I'm on the right path. People that I look up to, like you guys, feel the same thing, going through the exact same thing. And this is the right path, right? This is part of the process.
That's it. Now we all got to know how the fuck Will's going to make it. He made the most money he made last week that he said in a long time. So we all got to learn on the next show how Will's making the cash he's making. Tina, what did you take from today's show? Go around the table.
I think for me, it's like failure and adversity, they're prerequisites for resilience. So it just is. If you want to be resilient, you're going to have to go through it. There's no other way to teach that. And we all know those people that aren't really fucking resilient. And when you think about it, they really haven't been through a lot of shit. So until they get it, they're not going to get down that journey and be resilient. So that's the biggest takeaway for me.
Yeah. What about you, Johnny?
What I love is the fact that, we have, different guests on, and when you boil it down, you'll see the roots are so similar. Number one, people realize, okay, I'm fucked up. It's okay. Telling yourself you got problems, but it's okay to have them. Now, how do I address these problems in a way that's going to make me better? And that right there is kind of the first step for anybody that wants to actually start moving in the right direction. And so I just love the fact that if you hear our conversations and you hear our guests, if you really boil it down, you strip it away, pull all the layers back, you're finding a lot of the same shit. It applies to all these different stories, and it can apply to yours as well. And on that level, one of the things you'll hear, all of us, we have a story of why we succeeded, not a story of why we didn't. So what is your story? You can rewrite that anytime you choose.
But to add to that, John, all of our stories included failure. All 100%, of our stories,
100%. Those failures is why we succeeded.
Exactly.
If I wasn't a dumb little son of a bitch with a whopping learning disability, overweight, and got picked on, I wouldn't have this life that I'm so thankful for every day.
Yes.
So
yes.
The worst shit that happened to you is your biggest blessing. Look at
well, John, going to Marty next. Marty's not here. If Marty's not on my show and tell me his story, he's like, yeah, Keith, I did this. I was doing this. I ended up feeling like a loser because I wasn't succeeding at shit. And then I made something of myself. And I'm like, holy fuck, I got to follow this guy. I started paying attention to what Marty's doing. I'm like, I like what the guy's drinking. I want to hang out with you, Marty, because I'm inspired by you. Marty, what did you take from today's show, brother?
Man, I just love how we all, speaking the same language, saying the same thing, but everybody has their perspective.
Yes.
And their story, which led them to that. And we, Keith, we sipping the same what?
Same Kool-Aid, brother.
Yeah, we all sipping the same Kool-Aid. Exactly. So
exactly.
no, I thought it was great. You know, Will and Rich even learning some more about their stories from what I learned last time they were on the show. So it was amazing. Definitely appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah, and
well, Rich is part of the team now. So yeah.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, gentlemen, we talk about feelings on this show. We talk about not showing up. We talk about showing up. Christopher Martin is feeling under the weather today. He expressed his feelings to us, but you know what? He still showed up. So as we've talked yesterday, as we're talking all week, we can have both, gentlemen. We can express our feelings, but we still got to fucking show up to hit our goals, right? And I'll tell you right now, if Marty comes tomorrow, he's like, I'm still not feeling it. Keith and John are like, all right, buddy, if you got to stick away, you got to stick away, right? Communicate, have a conversation. Don't be afraid to go hit those goals. All right, guys, we're going to get out of here. We're going to come back tomorrow. Resilience is going to keep the conversation going with Adam House tomorrow in the lab, mornings in the lab. He's going to join us. Adam joins us on Tuesdays, but Adam got the calendar mixed up, so he's going to join us tomorrow on Thursday. So we're going to join the show with Adam House tomorrow. Continue the conversation on resilience. And boys, I think we want to come back at some point to talk about what we didn't talk about yesterday, Marty and John, weight loss. Christina, we got people knocking on my doors going, hey, I thought you guys were going to talk about losing weight, but you didn't get there. Here's what I'll tell you. We're building the airplane as we fly, and this show is being iterating all the time. So we
just got so much good shit to talk about.
That's got a lot of good shit.
That's exactly it. And everybody who joined in the comments today, Jack Duggan, Tina, Timmy, Daniel Johnson, Real Deal Prime, Mike Sullivan, Good Times. I appreciate all of you guys. UL Adams and Mike Sullivan, Johnny Marty. Mike joined us on the show months ago. He followed me on LinkedIn. I shared the guy's post with you. Mike, I appreciate you, man. You go take care of it today, pal. I know you got some stuff happening with your eyes there, but as you heard from Rich and Will today, go get it, and go get it. All right, let's get out of here. Get after the day. If you're not inspired by what you heard today, you got to go to a different show. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Mornings in the lab.